God and the devil are two sides of the same being. You know, religion actually is really fascinating when you actually get down to studying it, because some of the conclusions I've drawn and some of the things I've even said I can find to go well with religion. And when I do, it blows my mind. God and Satan are the same, or two sides of the same equation, two sides of the same entity. See, when you make a deal with the devil and you want to dance with the devil will bring you down, and the devil will destroy you. And basically, you're making a deal with your unconscious personality. You're making, because darkness is, in the dark you can't see. When you have light, you have truth, you have awareness, you're able to see. When you don't have light, you can't see. Your eyes are closed, or they may be open, but you can't see anything. You're blind. Therefore, you're ignorant. So darkness and evil just means ignorance. And once you shed light on that ignorance, then you rise above your prior conditioning. Because everything is solved with knowledge. Everything. Every single fucking thing. That's why I always say, admit the truth first. So many people have false priorities. They don't have their priorities straight. They want money, wealth, materialism, and then they end up corrupt and they end up losing a lot of it, or all of it. You have to choose things for the right reasons. People get corrupted in positions of power, and people just take that for granted as that's just how reality is. That's not just how reality is. That's just the reality that you've seen about men who lead. But that's not just how reality is, and that's why they get all these conspiracy theories from, and then they need to confront those conspiracy theories because essentially they're someone's fear of the unknown, and that's what a monster is supposed to represent. It's exactly what a monster is supposed to represent, because this stuff comes from folktale. It's all just folktale, and people see an imperfect reality and they assume that everything's against them. But that in itself is a negative view on everything. And it's simply not true. Some people want to fuck you over, but some people are good souls, and you can tell. And some people are conditioned into thinking that life's about getting fucked over, fucking people over, but it's not. It's really not. That's a survival mentality that's the result of competitiveness in society, and it breeds people to hate themselves and everybody around them for the wrong reasons. You know, not like you're casting judgment on people because they fail to make themselves better, but it would be, in this case, would be somebody who hates people because they view them as opposition. I don't view people as opposition. I just get really fucking tired of people's stupidity, and I guess I expect a lot from people. Even the dumbest people I expect a lot from. The common human decency is a lot to expect from people in today's day and age. And simply, most people don't have that. Now, so that's how I think about these things. And God and Satan are two sides of the same equation. Jesus, when he suffered for the sins of mankind, and then he went to hell, literally went to hell, and I had a hallucination where I went to hell. And he went to hell and he was tortured, and then he ascended. He went there for the ascension of souls. I had a hallucination where I saw the devil, where I saw hell, where I was tortured, and then I came back to reality and was born again, a literal resurrection. But let's just call this psychosis, or a momentary, temporary psychosis for the moment being. Anyway, the point is that that's just making contact with your deep, darkest self. And that's what the darkness represents. That's what the devil represents. And that's what Jesus was doing when he went to hell. He was confronting his inner hell. And then when he was out in the desert, he had to see that he hallucinated the devil out in the desert. Because of course you'd hallucinate in the fucking desert, especially if you're dehydrated and you aren't eating anything. Not to mention you're super fucking hot. So he hallucinates the devil and he sees himself as the devil. And the devil promises him the world. But, and it's funny because Jesus actually ended up getting the world. But he did it through the awareness of hell, because that's what it was. When he went down to hell, when he died, and I'm looking at this from an objective point of view, so don't judge any interpretation, just hear it out. When he died, he went to hell. And he basically went down into the unconscious id of himself. He saw what he was capable of. He saw the ugliest parts of himself, and that's what the devil's supposed to represent. And it's also supposed to bring order into the world, actually, because people respond to fear and they don't want to go to hell. Most people aren't willing to go that far. Most people aren't willing to embrace hell. But Jesus saw it differently. He saw your inner hell. And then he goes to hell, and literally the term Abaddon is to refer to Jesus when he goes to hell. And Abaddon is an angel of destruction, which is very interesting. So Jesus essentially becomes an angel of destruction. And then it says when he's coming back with a vengeance. Because Jesus literally, and that's why Jesus really is, the more I learn about religion, the more I view somebody like Jesus as like a very complex, nuanced individual. Because he literally, there's so many sides to Jesus. Most people just get stuck up on the New Testament. If you actually dig deeper, you can find that there's way more. Jesus had to have mastered the evil. Obviously he did. If he descended into hell, and then he goes to heaven, of course he mastered the evil. And that's the goal. Because I've always said, if you want heaven, if you want to make heaven, you have to be prepared to go through hell. And I said that before I knew the story of Christ in such allegorical detail, which is fucking mesmerizing. And I've also had parallel hallucinations, which basically were very, very similar to Jesus's. And I did see the devil, and the devil said he was astonished that I could look in the face of God, which was him. Because devil and God are two sides of the same entity. Because God is patient until he's not patient, until he's fucking pissed. God allows a lot of free choice and sin. He wants people to evolve to higher states of consciousness. And if they don't, if they're too degenerate, then he allows the angels of destruction to come into the world and just end it all and start again, because people are corrupt. This world we live in, I don't think it's so much the leaders that people need to pay attention to. It's the average everyday person and their deceit and how they try to argue for certain rights with the intention to deceive. They try to ask for things that you have to come down to it. Who's asking for these things? Really, it's like, all these political issues, which mostly spring from the left, is really not government officials asking for these things. We're at a point where the oligarchy is pretty much gone, and it's rule of the people, and it actually has been for quite a few years. And now we're just coming to that realization that the people are calling the shots, and that Politicians are actually afraid to make any choice because they want to pander to the people. That's why people pander to during riots, and they're afraid of the people because the people get violent, and they always have. They always have. But the people of today are very degenerate and backwards, and because they don't seek things for the right reasons. They have a spirit of dishonesty within their hearts. You can tell their heart is pure, or impure, I should say. I have a very excellent read of character. I can immediately tell somebody's intentions, or if their heart is pure or not. And there are lots of people out there with good hearts. And for me, I was always obsessed with evil. Obsessed is an understatement. But I was obsessed with evil because you have to test your limits in life. You have to put yourself out there and totally test your limits until you have nothing left in you. Because my spirit is so strong that evil couldn't hold me back. And I'm supposed to experience everything good, and my motivation behind being obsessed with evil was always from the standpoint of the truth. Admit the truth first is what I always say. Admit the truth first. Admit the truth first. Live your life by that principle. Admit the truth first. What is the truth? Many different kinds of truth. Ask yourself the deepest questions. What are your truths? When you do ask yourself the deepest questions, that's when you transcend yourself. That's when you go down to hell because you're staring the devil in the face, and the devil's you, and you're Jesus Christ. And God and Satan are two sides of the same fucking thing. And Jesus Christ ain't always a nice guy, because he can be a fucking destroyer, and he's also known as Abaddon. And those are the conclusions you come to. You're a merciful person. You really, everything you do out of, and you remember these things about yourself. You remember why you looked into evil. You remember why you studied miracles. You remember you did it because you really do care about people, to the point where you're willing to sacrifice everything. That's some fucking dedication. And that's what people can always say about me. And I've heard it so many times. Wow, what strong willpower. Wow, he's disciplined. It's that dedication. I've heard it all. I've heard it. Yes, it's true. I'm very, very dedicated to the truth. I've lived my life behind for that principle of the truth. Dedicated to the truth. And then you understand religious stories because of the precepts. The spirit of truth is the Holy Spirit. And they always say, John the Baptist always said, if the world hated you, the world hated me first. Well, it's because people don't like the fucking truth. And that's why I've always been hated. People fucking a lot of people despise me. And they despise me simply because they think I'm trying to be an edgy asshole. Me, I'm doing my duty to the world, because who else is going to do this? The kind of work I'm doing for humanity at large, everybody from poor to rich, straightening everything out and making real order. No one else is doing that job. No one else is even capable of doing that job, and that's a fact. But I'm capable. That's why I was born. It's literally why I was born. That's my life goal. That's my purpose. That's my purpose, and I seek it for the right reasons, and that's the important thing. If you want wealth, or you want fame, but you just want it just to show it off, that's an impure heart. That's an impure heart, and that person will be corruptible, and they don't deserve it, so they won't get it most likely. And if they do get it, they'll squander it. Me, on the other hand, I seek values of virtue within first, and that's what motivates me to get materialistic possessions and fame and blah blah blah. No matter how mundane I may think of some of these things, I seek them to reach people, because when I did see the devil, you would just think he was a scary guy, and believe me, he could be. You could definitely tell. He was all about business. But I also sensed pure bliss in love, and that came from self-acceptance.